Hey, vinyl community, Jeff here again. I wanted to make a couple videos here to catch up on some stuff that has come in recently. This past weekend, the wife and I went out. We hit some thrift stores and some, I don't know what you want to call those places. It's not necessarily a thrift store, but they have a lot of thrift items. Antique type store. Anyway, she wanted to get, they sell some new stuff too, and they sell some crafts and things like that. But anyway, so we went out shopping, and they always, most of these places have vinyl, and so I get a chance to look. This is a place I've been to quite often. We go to it at least probably once a month, just so I can hit up what's next. And this time I found quite a bit of things. Now, they're all just standard type stuff, but they were all on my wish list on like Discogs and places like that. So I was great to be able to add them. They looked like they were in great condition. The first one, though, not at all. Now, I've heard of the band. I know a little of the history of the band. Never really heard the music. I see a lot of people show band releases by this band. Usually it's always this one album with this weird artwork, and I forget the name of it, and they had it there. But it wasn't in great condition. This one I've never seen before, never heard before, don't know anything about it, and it looked great. It was in great condition. It's Trapeze, and this is their You Are the Music, We're the Band by Trapeze. And so again, I have no Trapeze, have no real knowledge of what they do. I know it's got Glenn Hughes in it, and so the album itself was in, for an album in the early 70s, it was just like so clean that I was like, gotta get this. And it was only, I don't know, it was less than $10, I believe. Maybe it was around $10. One of the more pricey of the ones I got. But I wanted to get it because, I like Glenn Hughes, and I just have nothing by them. I would have picked up the other Trapeze album that they had, but again, it was pretty rough, so I didn't. I grabbed this. Now, the other stuff that I got, I'm going to tell you, it's all Billy Joel, and I love Billy Joel, and it was early Billy Joel, and they were all in the $5 realm. So, and these were all on my wish list. These are some of the ones in that spots where I needed to pick up to fill some spots, and they looked like they were in great condition. Once I got them home and kind of looked closer, I want to clean them first. They look like they have some fingerprints and stuff, but the vinyl itself looks unscathed. So I picked up Nylon Curtain. I won't say a whole lot about these. These are some other classics from the 80s and early 90s. So Nylon Curtain was one that I needed to fill a slot, and The Bridge. One of my favorite, Streetlight Serenade. I actually was in one of my other local stores about 3 weeks ago, and they were playing this overhead. And I was like, yeah, I really dig this album. So, and these are all OG presses, so they're not, the reissues that they put out. So, grabbed this. Again, these were all pretty cheap, so I grabbed it. Now, this was the one I wanted. It was probably the most expensive of the batch, and that is the Cold Spring Harbor. Now, this is the first Billy Joel album. It was in 1973. Now, I have shown it because I own it. As you can see, there's a difference here. So this one, the picture's a little smaller, and this one is a little bigger. And if you know the history, and the reason I wanted to get this one is because if you know the history about this, when this album first was released, this is one of the original pressings. It was the pitch was off. And so he sounds high vocals, everything's a little, it's just the pitch. I don't know. Somehow it made it through production with the pitch being off. And so the whole album he sounds a little high on his vocal styles. When I bought this, I don't think I even knew that history at the point when I bought this a few years ago, and didn't realize which edition I wanted to get. So I grabbed this one. This was the early release from the 70s. They came back and reissued it a few years later. I want to say this one's got a barcode, which I don't think that one does, so we know it's later. Might have even been in the early 80s. I forget when. I remember seeing it online, but it was reissued. And anyway, whatever. I'm not even going to try to scramble for that on the cover. It was reissued with the proper pitch. So finally, I have the proper pitch edition on vinyl. So I grabbed this, and it was in great condition too. And then I'm looking, they have a bunch of stuff on the bottom. It's like everything down here is $1. And right on the front, I'm like, well, that looks interesting. I didn't know anything about the album until I picked it up and flipped it over. But Too Low for Zero by Elton John. And it was in like pristine condition, even the cover and everything. $1? I'm like, well, I don't have any Elton John in my collection. I love a lot of his classic stuff. Don't know a whole lot of his catalog, but I look at the back and I'm like, I'm still standing. And guess that's why they call it the blues. I mean, this is the stuff that we flipped the channels in MTV when it was on because we hated it back in the day. But this is some of the popular stuff that, over the years we've grown to appreciate. And so I thought for $1, heck yeah. They didn't have anything else in that bin for $1 that was worth grabbing. A lot of just old, banged up, typical thrift store stuff. But this particular store is more of a secondhand store, a little higher up than the thrift store status. But anyway, here you go. Grabbed an Elton John album. I haven't listened to many of these because when I did, some of these are dirtier. I need to get them cleaned and before I start throwing them on. And so anyway, great stuff. I wanted to grab those, and so I did. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Rock on and rock hard.